Susan?
Yes, I'm here. I'm here.
I hope you're ready.
I'm ready.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
You positive?
Absolutely positive.
Okay.
100% positive.
100% positive. All right.
Yay.
Welcome, everybody, to the Good Morning Show. We are live from the safe deposit box of the Andrew Johnson Bank studio. It's July 14th. It's 9:04 in the morning. It's Friday. Are you excited, Susan?
I'm excited. Tomorrow's my 9-year anniversary being in business.
Oh, congratulations.
Yeah, 9 years. Woohoo.
And tell folks about your business if they're just tuning in.
Just tuning in. Well, it's Hyderhangout Quilt Fabric and More. And 219 First Street, Cleveland, on the First Street Square, which is behind the catch, across from the museum, by the bike shop. And we have fabric and quilts and anything you want to do to use to make them or get them repaired, make clothing, costumes. We got costume fabric now, upholstery
That's right.
fabric, anything fabric, and the tools to do something with it.
Cool. And we've been working on a series of videos for the past
Yes.
several months, and this looks like the most detailed that we're going to be getting. We're actually going to be doing some live cutting. Is that correct?
That's correct. That is
Okay,
correct.
so what is on tap today, Miss Susan?
How to do set on point blocks, and I'm just gonna show part of it because you can see the quilt, and they're set on point. So a block is usually like squared like this,
Right.
but these are set on point. Now the ones in this quilt are set with a little bit more complicated way of doing it because, and I'll explain that because I brought two that were done this way. And as you see here, they're done the same way as the ones in the quilt. And when
Right.
you pull it like this edge stretches like crazy. So they're set on point, but the straight of grain is here. This is a bias. It's harder to work with. So the technique I'm showing today is how to get them on point and have them so that they are not on bias. And I think I'll just hold these up and show. Oh, can we do a picture first?
Sure.
Let's do this here.
Oops. Let's go there. There
Yeah.
we go.
This is a big quilt set on point. And what we have is the corner triangles, which you have 4 of them, and then you have what they call side triangles or setting triangles. And we're going to learn how to do both of those. And the way that we're going to do them is that this is a straight of grain rather than the bias, and the bias ends up being on the blocks, and that ends up so that the side of your quilt is easier to put on straight of grain, like if you want to put a border or a binding on there, and you don't have to work with the stretchy part. And that's what we're going to learn today.
Okay.
And we'll put this picture over here, and we'll go back to over here, show you. This is a block, and we're doing a 12.5-inch, 12-inch finish today. So the measurements I'm using today, I've done the math and written it down, but this is how it's put on. So the stretchy part was here, but it was put on the straight of grain part of this quilt, so it's more sturdy and not stretchy. So this is straight of grain, and see, it's not stretching at all,
Right.
like that other one that I showed. So this is going to be the side of the quilt when we get done. So we have this one here, and then we have these that we'll put down next row, go down.
I see.
And then, of course, this is the corner triangle, and it'll go on here. And then this is real sturdy, and that's stretchy. That's the bias. So what we're showing today is how to do that with set on point so that your biases are controlled.
Gotcha.
Okay? So we've got those that we've shown. And we are going to go back over, we're going to do corner triangle first. Now, how do we find out what size? Let's go over here. And I have this sheet without the black measurements here that you can come get at Hyderhangout, or call and I'll get it put up on the site somewhere and tell you where to get it. But this is a formula, and what you do, how to determine the size of the triangle, you determine it by, you multiply the finished, and they've got that in crazy writing so that you know it's the finished size of the block, by 1.41. So down here I have a 12-inch finished, and I multiplied by 1.41, and I come out to 16.92. And then you divide that number by 2, and I came out with 8.46. And then we add 7/8, which is 0.875. And then that's the number you come out with, and you're going to round it to the nearest 1/8 of an inch, because our rulers don't have anything less than that, and it'd be really hard to do a 0.335 inch. And it's easier to just round it to the nearest 1/8, and the rounding will be absorbed in your sewing. It's not a problem at all. It never has been. So I have a 9 1/8 square, and this is for my corner triangles. And the corner triangles, all you do on the square there is you just cut it on the diagonal. And can we see okay here?
Yes, ma'am.
So we just put that corner to corner, that's your edge, and you're just going to cut it. And now you have 2 corner triangles. So and you'll do this twice for one quilt, so you'll have 4 of these.
Okay.
So you have 2 corner triangles, and that's the corners. Now the setting triangles are bigger, so that's why I brought my little bit bigger mat than I normally bring to the studio here. So you see it's a pretty big square here. We've got setting triangle instructions, and you multiply your finished block size by the 1.41, and that's a math thing, because when you do triangles and squares together, that's somebody way back when figured that one out. So it's 12 inches by 1.41, and then we come up with 16.92, which is the same thing up here, but down here we add 1 1/4 inch. So we end up with a big square, 18.17, rounded up to 18 1/4 inches. So this big square here is 18 1/4 inches. And I went ahead and drew my diagonals. See where I drew my diagonals on here? Because this is a little bit bigger. The diagonals end up being a little bit bigger. See, if I just put it across, I'd have to be eyeballing it.
Right.
Because right down here, this is a little bit longer than the 24-inch ruler.
Yep.
So I went ahead and just drew it with a yardstick, just drew it. And we're going to cut this. And you move the ruler.
Nice.
And then you, knocked my corner up. There we go. And then you turn this way. Don't cross cut, and if you have to, you can turn your square around, or like I have here where you can do 2 different directions, but don't cut towards you because it's not safe. And then you just got, there we go. And so now we have 4.
Nice.
And
Perfect.
these are the side triangles, or the cutting triangles. And there we go.
Cool.
And let me show this one again. We took, this is the first row, and we put the side triangles here on the first row. And then for the corner triangle, see, it's smaller, but it does fit here, and we're going to sew it here eventually. And so that will be a corner. But where we have the rows, let me go right back here again.
Okay.
See, we have the rows here. You end up being rows, big rows here. And this row here, you'd put your corner triangles on the very end, and you'd sew the rows together.
Because you're putting the blocks on point.
Right.
Okay.
And you'll have rows this way. It makes it easier if you have rows to sew instead of sew one at a time and put them together. But if you end up with rows to sew together, it's way easier.
Makes sense.
Okay. Any questions?
When something is not on point, meaning that it's not turned at an angle, so it's resting on the points of the square, what do you normally call it when it's just regular? Is it just a regular block, or is
it's put in a block. Now this one has the extra block put in the middle because I want to make this quilt bigger. I could have put just a pattern block here, but when it's together and it's just a regular quilt, it's just blocks in rows. You do, however, when you have, let me see if I can put that, make it look like we have a sashing here. So if it has a piece like that, where it's got the piece in between.
it's just a little separation?
Little separation, that's a sashed block.
A sashed block.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some people call it lattice work, but sashing or lattice work. And it'll have this around all the blocks, and they'll be put together.
Lattice work. That sounds like something in like landscaping or something.
Well, it's a word borrowed from landscaping.
Okay, so it is borrowed from that.
Yes.
So same kind of idea, just a
Right.
different type of thing.
With fabric instead of wood.
Makes sense. Cool. Okay. I'm trying to think if I have any other questions. Now, the mat that you have there, if you want to talk about that
Okay, this
particular product, because before anyone starts to mimic this and go to their dining room table
Oh,
and
let's
start
not.
and start hacking away at
This
something,
is,
explain the magic behind this mat here.
This is a self-healing mat.
Self-healing.
Self-healing.
Okay.
You can, after so long, if you cut, we've got a few at the shop that are 9.5 years old. I didn't realize they were that old, but if you cut this like lots and lots and lots of times in the same spot, you can eventually get where it'll separate and cut apart.
Right.
But this mat has been used lots and lots and lots of times. You can see where it's kind of got some
You can
marks.
see it, yeah, in the reflection of the light, you can see the marks in it.
Yeah, but what it is this blade. Let's go close up here.
Yep. There you
See how sharp that is? That is very sharp. You need to be very careful. And we have this one, in particular one, if you let go, it goes back behind its guard.
And push that button again so people can see the motion there. So you can see when you're about to cut that.
Yeah, you hold it in, and you
hold it in and
can
it comes
lock it. You push that button, lock it open. I don't ever do that because then I lay it down and forget it's open, and I've cut fingers.
And these are pretty sharp
fabric.
too. Yeah.
I've cut blocks before, and oh no, other people came by talking, and yeah. So the rule is, when you lay it down, you need to cover it back up. There are people that leave theirs open.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a good habit to get into.
Right.
I used to say up until I think it was a lot. 9 or 10 years ago, I used to say, I never cut myself, but I did manage to do that. So it's a good habit to get into. And if you can't think to close the blade, because there's different brands, and there's some that you manually have to close the blade.
Mm-hmm.
This one you just relax, and it goes back in. But this blade is very, very sharp.
Right.
And then you have your rulers, and this is a straight edge ruler, and you just go along the ruler, and it helps you to be very, very straight. If you go... Some people have a tendency to go straight up and down,
Mm-hmm.
or even a little bit like this.
Right.
They have a tendency to cut their ruler off, dull
I was
their
going to
blade.
say you probably get a little bit because it is a sharp blade.
So the ideal is about between a 30 and a 45-degree angle. Can you see like that? Kind of like that.
Up a little bit further.
This way?
There you go.
See, that's a
Or
that's,
turn it. There you go.
So that's
you can kind of see the angle there.
yeah. So
Nice.
that's a, straight up and down, it's not good, and it doesn't cut as well either.
And plus, if you have it at an angle, it kind of rests in that groove between
Right.
the ruler and the mat.
The idea in your brain and your muscle and all that stuff, you get used to it, and I don't think about it anymore, but the idea when you're first starting is you think about you're tracing with the blade along the ruler.
Right.
So if you think about that, and if your blade is so dull that you're having to really push down, you need to change your blade. It should be pretty smooth where you just go and.
So you can change out the blade on that and not actually have to buy a new.
Right. Do you want me to
Okay.
show you how to change the blade on this one?
Do you have another blade?
I don't have another blade, but I can show you how
Sure.
easy enough.
Yeah.
What you do is, whatever your rotary cutter is, I always keep it in order. So this is just a hand tight, and I turn it the direction it needs, and then it's got a little washer. Some of them have washers, some of them don't. So I just turn it upside down the direction I took it off. So there we go. And then here's this, and that's the blade.
Oh, goodness, yeah.
And I'm going to turn the blade around because you can get more wear out of your blade if you turn it around occasionally,
So it's
too.
kind of like rotating the tires kind of thing.
Right.
Okay,
So if you turn it around every once in a while, you get more use out of it.
cool.
And then you just put it back, go this way. And if you get lint, you'll get lint and stuff in here, and you can wipe it off with a soft cloth or Windex, and you just put it backwards the way you took it off.
Cool.
Some people take their blades off and forget and put the things, just whack them out on the table. Oops, I forgot what goes next. And
Right.
and your package will have the instructions how to change the blades on there.
And once you do it a couple times, I'm sure you probably
Yeah.
remember
But
how to do
for
that,
me,
so.
since I have so many different styles, I just put them backwards, leave them on the table, then put the blade, and then put it back, and that's keeps you straight.
Nice. Very cool.
So
Let's see here. I don't know if I have any questions about this in particular. What about Monday?
Monday.
What were you thinking about Monday?
Well, I thought about 2 or 3 things.
Okay.
I mean, we've worked on binding before. I also thought about showing sashing,
Okay.
so we may do that
Okay.
because this is kind of leading into that, and you asked the question about it. So I can show you how to do the sashing and how to measure, make sure you get it right, because there are some tricks in it. You do need to
Right.
measure correctly, and you don't need to just sew some stuff on. But we'll go over that on Monday.
Cool. Well, Susan, it was a pleasure having you. Happy 9-year anniversary for Hyder
Right.
Hangout. If you have not been to Hyder Hangout, you should definitely take some time to go. It's on the First Street Square across from the Catch Restaurant next to Trailhead Bicycle Company. And your hours, you're not open on Sundays, but you are, unless you have an appointment.
Right. If somebody calls me and says I'm coming through, and the only time I have is Sunday afternoon, I'll certainly, take my cheese making clothes off and put something decent on, or
Right.
come with cheese all over me. No.
Yeah.
But 10 until 5. Monday through Saturday, except for Thursday, is noon until 7.
Okay.
Of course, if you come by and the light's on and I'm there, just if I haven't opened the front door, to just tap it with a key and I'll hear you and go, oh, okay, come in.
And you
We're-
can also just give a call too and
Right.
double check. So give the
Yes.
phone number one time. And normally Susan is the person that actually answers the phone. So
Yes, 423-715-2908. And one more thing, we're still collecting cans of food for Caring Place
that's right.
because they have their Christmas in July
Right.
on Monday. So whatever I get, I'm going to take over there somewhere around 11 or 12 on Monday. So bring them in, and each can you bring in, you'll get a fat eighth.
Nice.
There we go,
And then we'll
Christmas
go
in
ahead and
July.
we'll promote that for Miss Tony Miles. So if you haven't heard, Christmas in July, the community food drive at the Caring Place is the 17th from 7:30 in the morning to 6 p.m. They will have folks there in the parking lot. If you just need to make a quick drop off, you can just swing on in and they can take this. The donations, please, no glass containers or expired
Oh,
food.
peanut butter. Cool. All right. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to go get, but I'm going to go get some peanut butter because that's something that everybody loves. Or if they don't love it, they hate it. So it's not anything in between.
Right.
But
So definitely take some time to go over and visit Miss Tony Miles and hook them up with some stuff after you leave Hyder Hangout with all your quilt supplies.
right.
Exactly.
And if you come today or tomorrow, we have some refreshments, and everything in the spot is on sale, one amount or another. Everything, including the So Steady tables for the machines and all
Really?
that. So.
Okay, and you mentioned earlier that you do have costume stuff now too to make
Oh, yes.
costumes,
Oh, yes.
which is
I have
turning into a very big thing.
furs and furs and satins and silks and chiffons. And I had a whole truckload come in. I don't have it all in the computer yet, but you can find something, I can sell it to you. I don't have to have it totally in inventory yet. So we got that now. So cosplay people out there, come see us.
Check it out. All right. Well, thank you, Miss Susan. We will see you on Monday. Thank you very much for tuning in. And we will go ahead. If you haven't seen Hyder Hangout, there's all kinds of stuff that you can get for your fabric and quilting needs. You can kind of see that in the commercial that we're about to play. So thank you, Susan, for coming in. We'll see you on Monday. And a couple different ideas up in the air. So you'll have to tune in on Monday to find out what we're going to do. So thank you very much for watching. We'll kick you back to Coffee Country and Cody on Heartland. Thanks for watching.
Quilts and the art of quilting have been enjoyed for generations. Hyder Hangout, Quilt Fabric and More in downtown Cleveland is all things quilts and much more. Hyder Hangout stocks a vast selection of beautiful fabrics from upholstery to evening wear and will special order hard-to-find items. Find all the accessories to make any project fun and easy. Hyder Hangout offers expert instruction with classes for the beginner and the advanced. Ready to show your style? Get to Hyder Hangout, Quilt Fabric and More, 219 First Street Northeast, downtown Cleveland.